So I think looking and doing more research over student discipline, I think there are some recurring issues just within schools that I think just need to be fixed for the future. I think that if the same mistakes are going to continue to keep happening, then um, more consequences are going to come down the road. And I think we've already seen so many different school lawsuits, and we've seen a lot of students' rights deprived of them. And so I think just schools need to be just more aware of what um, their their rules and regulations are that they need to abide by, and they need to make sure that they're implementing these some different methods in order to fix the issues that just continue to show up. And so I think just looking at like the Tarkington versus Ellis case, I think um, like this was just a perfect example of how administration and teachers, they need to be aware of what their school's code of conduct are, because if they're not aware, then they're not making sure and ensuring that the students' rights are being protected. They're not ensuring that they're going to protect themselves if they're making claims that students do this and that, but in fact like they have a right here to do that, then that's on them for not knowing the rules and regulations and the rights that their students have. And so I think it's important that administrators and teachers and faculty and staff, that they have the correct training in order to know their school's code of conduct. I think it's important so that they are protecting the rights of their students, so that they feel like they're heard and that they're able to live out their rights and they're not being deprived any due process or anything. And so I think it's just important that in the future that training is more than just once a year at the beginning of the school year, but it's being being used throughout the entire school year, and that teachers are just being reminded and administrators are being reminded of what they're expected to follow, which rules and regulations are in place. And so I also think like instead of just looking at how many students are being disciplined, I think it's just important to teach how to have conflict resolution skills. I think those need to be taught in school so that students are avoiding situations that they shouldn't be in that would allot them discipline. I think they need to be taught how to de-escalate problems to avoid having to be disciplined. I think instead of just giving students a big code of conduct book at the beginning of the school year that have a lot of don't do this, don't do that, or like saying no, like you can't do that. I think instead of just throwing those words at them, I think it's important to incorporate how to behave in the classroom. What decisions need to be made in like various situations in order that they know right from wrong, even if it's obvious. I think it's just important, instead of just telling students no, they need to teach them how to behave as well. I think moving forward in the future, and I think that could help lessen some of the student discipline that is having to be taken or put on to students. And so I also think with student discipline, I think what would help to lessen the amount of school or student discipline, I think would be to improve security. I think it would make it less than desire for students to engage in any misconduct that's going to get them in trouble by the school. I think just in recent years and really in recent months, like we've seen more school shootings, we've seen students bring weapons to school, and I think it's just important that security is upped so that those things can be better prevented. I think also with bullying, I think that would also help, just to ensure that students they have safety, that they're being taken care of in their schools. And I think it's just important, I think just in general, that schools know their rules, that they're teaching the students how to behave, they're incorporating that teaching into the classrooms so that student discipline would be decreased. So I think that is what I would say for future implications.